Well, hello again. It is October 28th. It is almost election day, which, all of us candidates cannot wait until it's over. So, I wanted to make this video to tell you, the Plainfield voter and resident, if you're not registered to vote, go do it. You can even do it online. It's very easy, and I will put a link in the description to help you do it. And I encourage you to register Libertarian because you know what? More of us means better for all of us. So we like opinions, we like viewpoints, and we like diversity because sometimes no one's right. And so that's why we need more ideas. So about getting that into the room. So I have a copy of the sample ballot, and I'm going to tell you how I plan to vote, and I'm going to walk you through why. So obviously, to make this really easy for you, I plan on voting Dan Reale. So why am I going to vote for me? There is a link in the description to the first Selectman debate. I'll make this simple. I'll make it easy. And it's just apparent. My opponents agree on everything. Well, that kind of narrows it down to two options, doesn't it? Well, depending on which half of the other option you like. It should be me. And there's another video on this channel about actually having a tripartisan board of selectmen, which that's going to work because there'd be no majority. We could all get along. So the second selectman, as I noted in the other video, I am voting for Scott Gardner. I voted for Art last time. I think he had 2 years to prove himself, but I think he still has a lot left to give to the people of the community in Plainfield. Maybe not in that capacity necessarily, but somewhere else. However, I know Scott too. Scott's a reasonable guy. He's got a level head. I think he's going to serve well. So next, town clerk. I don't know who I'm going to vote for town clerk. That's, jury's out. Why? I don't know enough about either of the candidates. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why we have this discussion before Election Day. We don't just go, hey, this guy's a member of Management Team A or Management Team B, or in our case, Management Team C, the Libertarian. So we try to find out as much as we can and understand how they're going to solve their problems of the town. So town clerk, jury's out. So if you're a town clerk candidate, reach out, persuade me. And if you persuade me, I will endorse you. Tax collector. I know this is probably going to look backwards, but we only have one candidate for tax collector. Well, hopefully that'll change because I just like more options than one. I mean, I think Karen's done a good job, honestly. I'm probably going to vote for her, but gosh, if there's a write-in, I'll certainly consider it, but I'm not aware of a write-in. So Board of Finance, I'm going to vote for Kathy Tendrick, my former opponent from 2019. I'm going to vote for Virginia Sampietro, who actually served on the first Charter Selection Revision Commission with me. And quite honestly, I'm going to do this because I think the Board of Finance could use a balance of opinion when it comes to new ideas. I know Virginia's been a fan of a town manager, and quite honestly, with the last 2 years, we've had maybe there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, honestly, I like Virginia. I think she's awesome. She's an excellent public servant. I just wish we would all, hear more from her. And she's got a lot of good ideas, and I think she should tell the world more about it. Adrian Paulson. I do know Adrian. Adrian's a good egg, and he's a very educated man. If you want a good thinker on the Board of Finance, that's Adrian. So don't think just because he's a Democrat, it's going to go one way or another. He's actually going to he's going to make sure he makes the right decision. So that's the guy. Board of Ed, Libertarian, Mark Campo and Matt Radin. Why? It's not because they're Libertarian affiliated. It's because they're for the individual. And quite frankly, the Board of Ed could use, for lack of a better word, actual positions. You see, the thing is this. I have never been of the opinion that elected people are meant to go in and hire their CEO, the superintendent, as it were, and then ask the CEO how things ought to be. And that has been the default position. It's led to asbestos not being fixed in the elementary school, which I'm going to be on that right away. It's led to what happened with that teacher who we parted ways with due to an incident that should have been reported to the police. And according to Kevin Cunningham, who is under the purview of the Board of Education, I kind of disagree at that point. I think that's a matter of see something, say something. We could talk about, a lot of things, like the way the high school was, built. There are a lot of issues with it. We could talk about the underfunded pension liabilities, which are going to get real bad if we keep ignoring it. We could talk about a lot. But the bottom line is the Board of Ed does not, it has not found its own positions. It has not really asserted itself intellectually, it seems. And so I think, and I don't think anybody would reasonably disagree with this, it's time for people to put their critical thinking hats on. And I know Matt Radin, he served on the Board of Ed, he served on the Board of Finance, and that's just a great guy. If you want someone who's not just going to automatically say yes, you want a guy like Matt LaRue. He's actually going to be the fiscal cop. Mark, you don't know Mark yet necessarily. You're going to like Mark. Mark will tell you how it is, and he thinks the same way. So Mark is another results guy that's analytical, and he's going to go out there and make sure there's a fiscal watchdog. So Board of Assessment Appeals, I'm voting for Peter McNull. He was one of those critical thinkers that used to be on the Board of Ed, and I think he's definitely a stand-up guy. I think you should vote for him. As you probably know, I can vote for up to 2. So I have not quite made my decision yet there. And so if anybody thinks that I should vote for any of these individuals, feel free to reach out and tell me why. Because as you probably know, I am not one of those guys that's going to vote row A all the way or just go rah, rah Republican. I'm a libertarian. You have to earn my vote. So planning and zoning. This was a no-brainer as to Sean Peterson. He's a good guy. He's studious. He tries to pay attention. He tries to do right by the building applicants. He tries to make sure everybody's, ducks are in a row. And he actually does get that libertarian concept that, hey, property rights should be respected and protected. And quite frankly, a lot of people don't get that function. I think even a lot of libertarians, the planning and zoning exists to make sure that you are acting within your rights, but you're also not infringing your neighbor's rights as well. So I've got 3 extra spaces here on this ballot. I am not voting for June Gagne. I don't know enough about Frank Mills, and I don't know enough about Lindsey Johnson. And so basically for referential index on that other one, I would point to the Charter Revision Commission. So there is that one. Now, planning and zoning alternate, I am voting for Kevin Poppy. Why? You need a good guy. My impression is he's going to get up to speed and he's going to take it serious. As to the planning and zoning Board of Appeals, jury's out. We'll figure this out. Again, don't tell me R or D. Don't give me 21-21 or vote row A all the way, because that's not reasonable at all. And I think most people watching this would agree. So Zoning Board of Appeals vacancy and Zoning Board of Appeals alternate, full 1 term, vote for 1. I don't know enough about Stephen Walsh, and Madeline Garner, like that other race, is the only person. So basically they're going to win, whether I vote for them or not. That is unless there's a write-in. So if there's a write-in out there, gosh, I'd love to hear it. Police Commission, I am entirely undecided. I can tell you there's a lot of things that I did like about the way the police department ran. When we had our old chief, I'm sad that he retired. He was I think the best chief we've had ever. Mario's new. I think he's going to eventually start to fill in those shoes. I think generally we're doing pretty good with some things. Some things we could do better. But again, the police department is not the Board of Ed, where, they have to really work a lot harder to make their case. I don't think that should be the case. I think they should be on an even keel where they say, listen, we need this, we need that, compare and contrast to the Board of Ed that says, just give us more money no matter what. At a certain point, I think we can realize that it's not about the money. It's about what does that value provide. And so when I think about budgets as first selectman, I'm going to go to all department heads, including the police, including, everybody. And I'm going to say, all right, is there a way we could do this better? Because I'm not a yes man. And I think the vast majority of Plainfield are not necessarily yes people either. We want to know, why do you need it? So this goes to the other thing, the Charter Revision Commission questions. Question 1. Shall the date of the annual town meeting be changed to take place after the audit report is finished, but no later than the end of February? I was divided. I lean toward yes. The reason I lean toward yes is because I think audits are better because they provide a more fully informed decision. Question 2, shall the percentage of eligible voters casting ballots at a referendum be changed from 25% to 10%? I'm voting no. I think the tendency behind this question is to make it a little easier, and I think the whole purpose and spirit was Cunningham assumed he was going to get reelected, and therefore it would make him easier to do things. I don't necessarily believe government should easily be able to do things, especially when it comes to major things. The town meeting is a big deal. I think more people should participate, and under my leadership, I'll do all the reasonable to get that to happen, but sometimes life is life. People don't want to participate. They sit out. They've actually made a decision. So question 3, shall the approval or rejection of the capital budget be presented like the town government and education budget as a separate question at the town budget meeting or the annual budget referendum? I voted a no. Why? The capital improvement should be a lot more integrated into departments like it is. And quite frankly, the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think what we've been seeing in the last 2 years is a lot of things that weren't broke got fixed. Not the least of which is, let's save that for after the election. Question 4, shall the dollar amount of non-budget appropriations be updated from $10,000 to $50,000 minimum and from $50,000 to $100,000 maximum before a town meeting is needed? No. If there was a place on this ballot for heck no, I would vote heck no. We've had a good over $500,000 in line item transfers, and this was something that Kevin Cunningham had criticized Kathy Tendrick for, correctly, I might add. However, to go out and do it way more and to have been that hard on somebody for having done it, it doesn't make it right. In my book, whether you're Libertarian, Democrat, Republican, Green, or Purple Party, I don't care. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and fiscally irresponsible is fiscally irresponsible. We have seen the last 2 years of an unprecedented, and I know COVID has a lot to do with this, but it doesn't make it right. We've spent COVID money on things that are clearly not COVID. We've had line item transfer after line item transfer. We repainted, tanks. We didn't necessarily need to do that. What we needed to do was remove asbestos from the elementary school. Priorities are priorities. And quite frankly, this question right here on the ballot is for people who want more toys. That's all it's for. It's for people who don't want to budget accurately. It's for people who don't want to plan and forecast accurately. So say no to that. Please join me. Question 5. Shall the minimum dollar amount for shared grants be increased from $10,000 to $50,000 before a town meeting is required? I am voting no. Here's the reason. A lot of people, especially if they're really good at grant writing, like Marianne Shinati is, or they're really, really, really focused on grants like Kevin Cunningham is, if that's your only tool, everything looks like a grant application. Here's the problem. Grants cost money. They do. They generally do most of the time. Take, for example, the sidewalk in Shepherd Hill, which I voted against, and there was an illegal town meeting to make that happen during COVID. We can discuss the illegalities. That's another subject, but for the purposes of this video, that is a key case in point of how grants are bad and how wasteful they can be. So that was going to cost $200,000. I did a FOIA request to the Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation said, why don't you apply for a sidewalk in front of Big Y? You'll probably get it. Marianne said, nope. Cunningham said, nope. We want one in Shepherd Hill. The one we're probably not likely at all going to get. The one that nobody wants except for a few small set of people. And basically a sidewalk that everybody else is going to have to shovel and during the winter. So if nobody asked for that, and we don't need to mess with stormwater runoff and all that, why are we doing it? The only reason I can think of doing stuff like that is to have a thing with your name on it. Public service is about serving. It's about utility. It's about function. It's about what do we need now? Like the old high school annex to have a disposition. Like asbestos in an elementary school. Just to name a few, like a hearing with a commissioner of transportation for the railroad safety issues and the blocking of trains. There's a video on that too. So that's why I'm going to vote no on that. We have to have priorities, and we need to cut down on this. This is something else. So 6, shall the Board of Finance increase from 6 regular members to 7? I voted yes. This came up at Charter Revision when I chaired it. Came up again. This idea has merit. It should be an odd number. My understanding is even everybody on the Board of Finance agrees with it. Great idea. Let's do it. 7, shall the appointment of a position of financial gain be modified to include steps, in-laws, and domestic partners? That's right there. I'm voting no. Tell you why. So first of all, this does not give the voter any referential index on what that applies to. It just assumes that you have a lot of background knowledge on this subject. So this applies to the Code of Ethics, and this was an axe that some people had to grind against the former first select woman. And because at that time the code didn't include it, they didn't get to grind the axe. I have a lot of concerns about ethics in this town. I think the Code of Ethics lacks teeth. I think we need one. And unlike what has been said, that it's redundant to the state ethics code, I actually hit the books on that. No, it's not. So basically, if we abolish the ethics commission, we would have nothing. Kind of a bad thing. So basically, this sort of a problem that question 7 attempts to fix is it really comes from the fact that the Code of Ethics is just, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. There are a lot of improvements that could be done to it. That is a discussion for another time. But the bottom line is, I think the genesis of this question is perhaps sour grapes. I hope not. Hopefully I'm wrong. I get why you would want to include that in a Code of Ethics, but I don't think for the voter to evaluate that question, that you really have to look at the Code of Ethics. You'd have to do a lot of homework, and this is something that it's worded poorly. There are a lot of reasons not to do it, and it may turn out that this is fixing something that isn't broken. But these questions and others, including my election, are up for you to decide. You're the voter. You gotta weigh in, and honestly, I wish I would see a lot more of you at town meetings, at different commission meetings. Because it's your government. You have to understand that, if you want something done, you got to find a way to do it. And government, and this will not be an exception when I get elected, we have to be supervised. So if there's something that we're missing, you got to point it out to us, and you got to help us out to correct it. So when I'm elected, that's the thing. It's going to be how do we solve these problems? How do we go about? And if we don't know, you're going to have a government that says, don't know. But here's how we're going to try to solve it. So that's how I'm voting. I hope it was helpful to you. Again, you can vote however you want, and God bless you for doing it and using the First Amendment to say, here's how I'm going to vote. But those are the choices I have made so far, and I have told you why I'm making them, and I hope that my opponents will actually go ahead and do a video just like this one. I'd love to see it. Until then, I will talk to you soon, and I'm looking forward to your vote, and I will see you November 2nd.